Hi everybody, David Cristello here, and today we're going to go through the webinar, How to Recruit 10 Agents in 90 Days. This is going to be a case study of how one brand new broker was able to enter his marketplace and get 10 agents in 90 days. But you know what? First, let me address the obvious, which is for some serious players, 10 agents in 90 days ain't nothing special. But you know what? This was done with a brand new broker just starting out using internet marketing. Now, unless you recruited 10 agents in the first 90 days from opening your doors with your first office using internet marketing, then you'll have something to learn from this webinar. In fact, by the end of this call, you'll have a serious edge at internet marketing to recruit. Now, what may not be confusion for the more internet savvy, partial confusion, all that will be replaced by clarity and focus on what's really required to recruit agents using the internet. And instead of talking about how you could potentially recruit 10 agents in 90 days using the internet with theory, we're going to demonstrate how one broker is able to implement and get real results. And that's why I'm doing this webinar, and that's why I think you're here. Now, we've worked with hundreds of brokers around the country and found that the recurring problem brokers have with recruiting is marketing. Now, few brokers have a consistent marketing system that delivers at least one message to their hit list monthly for at least a year. Now, that's the minimum. That's the least you can do if you want to have average success with recruiting. But you know what? The brokers who knock it down are in front of agents weekly to bi-weekly for years at a time, and that's why I emphasize that word consistency. But we all know the problem remains the same, and that's marketing. Now, despite all the experts out there, despite all the blogs and books and articles and really the amount of information on marketing out there is just really overwhelming. It still remains one of the most elusive skills in the marketplace, and we get these questions all the time. What do you send? When do you send it? How do you send it? What about email? What about Facebook, Twitter, Craigslist, LinkedIn? Well, here's a common one. What's the best program to use for email? Or how do I not waste any time with all of this? And we all know that's where analysis paralysis sets in. It's information overwhelm, followed by the frustration of seeing agents go to less qualified companies because, it's not the best brokers who recruit agents. It's the brokers with the best marketing systems who win. And if you're already sending out emails, you're on Facebook, have a recruiting website, there's a 90% chance you're making some pretty big mistakes with all of it, costing you agents, and it probably has massive room for improvement. So, if nothing else, here is the big secret, the big idea I want you to take away from this webinar. In fact, I'd write it down. I make this your first note for today. And this is one of those timeless, time-tested principles and strategies that's going to be applicable today, in a year, in 5 years, 10 years, 50 years, because again, it is timeless and it is time-tested, and it's been proven again and again as a foundational marketing principle. And what we're going to do is overlay that on top of all the new tools the internet is providing us with. So this is it. You've got to master multiple step marketing systems across multiple internet marketing channels if you want to win with recruiting. I'll say that one more time. You've got to master multiple step marketing systems across multiple internet marketing channels if you want to win with recruiting. And the real secret to mastering the multiple step marketing systems is to follow a checklist. Now, you know the value of the checklist. You've learned to create them and use them very well with transactions, and you've created a checklist to follow to make sure your transactions close and you don't get sued and screwed. Well, the same kind of checklist applies for marketing to recruit, and that's why I want to walk you through this case study step by step and share it with you. Now, the sweet part about the transaction checklist you've created is that it's outsourceable and you don't have to do it. You can actually hire a staff member to run the checklist for your transactions, and that's what you can do with internet recruiting. Now, 10 agents in 90 days is totally possible if you focus on marketing, if you follow a checklist, and you do so consistently. And that means we're talking about those messages at the very least. That means at least monthly, or better yet, bi-weekly. And for those that really want to knock it out of the park, every week for at least a year. So as you know, we're all about using real-world examples for you to emulate. Not fluff, not things we read, but real people getting real results using this stuff. And that's why I want to introduce you to Carmelo Oliveri. And what's most impressive to me about this is that Carmelo had a brand new office. In fact, the case study is all about the first 90 days he opened his business. Brand new, he made the leap and he got these results. So in 90 days or so, he accomplished what 90% of brokers may never do, and he's done it in the first 90 days. It takes many brokers 6 months to a year or even longer to get where he's at. Now, 10 agents in 90 days, nothing to some of the big players that might be listening to this webinar, and to some of the biggest and best brokers we're currently working with as well. But you know what? What makes this feat so impressive is that he's done a majority of this with advanced internet marketing. So, before we dive into the meat of this webinar, real quick, I want you to just pause a second and think to yourself, you know, what, in terms of recruited agents, what's the most agents you've recruited in a single month? Now, if you're brand new, you can put maybe a milestone for your next month. Maybe you can put a yearly goal that you have. But for those that have been in the industry a little bit, what is that number? What is the most agents you recruited in a single month? And I have one more question for you, right? In terms of an agent, what is the average agent worth your company per year in revenue? Again, if you're just starting out, you can start estimating what this would be. For Carmelo, he was actually estimating this between 15 and 20K. Now, some of us may be at lower four figures. Some might be mid five, might be even higher five. So, go ahead. Just think about most agents recruited in a single month and the average, what the average agent is worth your company per year in revenue. And so, I really want you to keep this, these kind of metrics in mind as we move through this webinar and really as we move through the year. But you know what? Let's see what Carmelo did for marketing. And you know what? One of his big secrets was, we're talking about, I'm going to say it again, was he delivered consistent value-added messaging on a regular basis. He followed templates, he followed step-by-step guides, he was following up with leads and sending out those email blasts. And he said one of the most important things he was doing was following up on a regular basis. Now, it is so easy to overlook that simple principle of following up. But you know what? Today's focus is spread thin. We know that for a fact. Focus is the currency everybody is after. And that's what we need to protect, and that's what other people are trying to protect. And often our inboxes, our voicemails, they're cluttered, and we forget, and life happens. So you need to follow up. You need more touch points than ever. You need to be consistent in your follow-up. So real quick, now, for everybody listening, if you haven't heard our story by now, we started out doing straightforward recruiting websites. But after closely working with some of the best brokers, we could easily see what was working best for them. Now, pair that with hundreds of thousands invested in analyzing marketing best practices, and our recruiting websites have evolved into a serious internet recruiting system now called Recruiting Ninja. Now, we've been blessed and fortunate to be passed around, referred, and endorsed by some of the best brokers in the country, and we work with hundreds of brokers all around the U.S. and even in other countries. But anyways, everything that we've learned from brokers over the last 5 years about the best internet marketing ideas for recruiting has been condensed into a 15-category marketing checklist called the Ninja Checklist, which is a component of the Recruiting Ninja internet system. Now, this checklist was the step-by-step formula Carmelo used to accelerate his business. So like I said earlier about using checklists for your real estate transactions, the Ninja Checklist gives you your framework for your 90-day recruiting blueprint. So a couple items, 4 quick items before we jump into this case study. First, I want you to keep a pen and paper handy while we go through this blueprint. Start taking notes. Look at what he was doing tactically for each month, but then also think about what was his strategy for each month. What was his mindset for each month? And you'll be able to recreate the strategy if you take good notes for free without having to spend any money and just investing time, which I know is hard to come by for some brokers, which is why we have everything that Carmelo did and is about to share, and an outsourceable checklist system that your partner, staff, friend, or family member can follow in less than 30 minutes a day to run your internet recruiting while you don't have to do anything. And you're going to begin to see those recruiting numbers grow if you're somebody who takes action, because your internet recruiting system will be screaming in the background. Which brings me to number 3. For everybody who knows about the Recruiting Ninja system we provide, here's something we've been doing for those that are going through this webinar, and we've been doing it for a limited time, but only for the people that actually are watching this video. So at the end of this webinar, we'll be making a completely risk-free offer to dip your toes in and see if you like Recruiting Ninja for a measly $1. So if you have any interest in recruiting, you want to have the best internet recruiting presence in your marketplace, stay on to the end, and I'll give everyone on this call a special invite to try out the system for $1. And the final thing, we will have question and answer section at the end. If you're watching this webinar, what I want you to do is jot down your questions and email me, david@zainid.com. That's DAVID@zainid.com, and I'll be sure to take a look at them. So with that, let's jump in. And this is the first thing I want to look at is here's how to think about the 90 days, right? we want to move an agent through the know, like, and trust phase of the prospecting cycle. So, yes, it would be nice if it could all just jump to the trust phase and we can just get agents on autopilot. But you know what? We're dealing with people, and if you think about your buying habits and how you make your big decisions, you do the same thing, right? The no phase is all about researching the decision, researching the company, researching you, the broker. You know, what they're doing is collecting the facts, they're gathering the information, they're seeing from the marketplace the opinions of others. You know, if we're thinking about buying a car, we do the same thing. We start researching cars. Buying a computer, do the same thing. We start researching, those brands. Next, we move into relationship building. We move into the like phase, and this is where you start building the relationship. That's where you start having the conversation. That's where you learn and do a needs assessment. You learn about the pain they're currently experiencing and why they might want to switch. You know, the reason they might want to switch, what their ideal situation will look like. All right, this is all built up in the like phase. And then finally, the trust. This is where they actually trust you to take part in their career and help accelerate them, help them achieve the real goals that they're after. And so when you're thinking about this, you're thinking about your own 30 days, your own 90 days. What you can do is break it up in this way. Month one, Carmelo was looking, he said, I just want to set up my foundation. I want to get my foundation set up. Month two, he wants to optimize his system. So he gets his foundation up, he starts building his system. Month two is optimizing it, and month three, reviewing and adjusting and continuing to run the system. So that's a frame of reference have in mind as we go through this. So here it is. The first 30 days, this is what Carmelo laid out. First thing he was doing, like I said, was laying his foundation. He had a recruiting website up, and it's important to emphasize recruiting website. This is not a real estate website that also happens to have a careers page or a recruiting page. And the reason it is important to have a recruiting focused website is that you want everything that potential agent interacts with on that site to be for them. You don't want to distract them with links that aren't relevant to them. You don't want to distract them with pages that aren't relevant to them, because guess what? If they click it, they lose focus, they leave. Remember how I talked about focus is so important in today's, short attention span society, and especially online when there's a gazillion pages that they can be going to. You want a site that is completely focused on them. The next thing I want you to look at for this recruiting website is your headline. And some might be saying, David, what do you mean headline? Well, websites are much the same to newspapers, right? You think about how you move through a newspaper. You start skimming. You're skimming for headlines. And what are the headlines that really speak to you? They're the ones that talk about the pain you're experiencing. They're the headlines that really talk about maybe a benefit you're looking to achieve. Maybe it's improving the golf game, getting rid of knee pain, getting rid of lower back pain, how to shop for your loved one. Maybe these are the benefits or these are the pains you're experiencing. And so when you come to our website, the big question is, what's your headline? People are going to be skimming your website just like they would be skimming a newspaper article or a magazine article. And if you're not sure what your headline should be, this is where you start. You start with your market. You start talking with agents. If you have agents on staff, go ahead and try to pull out some frequently asked questions. Talk to agents. What really drew you to this job? What are you trying to achieve here? What are your goals? What's your vision? What's your dream for your career? Is it a certain salary? Is the figure a mark one that's really a motivating factor? Is it always receiving additional training so they can build their dream career, get their dream house, get the dream boat? What are they after? What are they motivated by? And then also, what pain did they experience, prior to potentially joining you? Was there a lack of accountability? Was there a lack of training? Was there a lot of overhead? Think about these pains. And as you pull these out of the marketplace or as you talk to agents, it's always nice to kind of section them off accordingly, right? You can talk about maybe a feature that you provide. Maybe it's training. Maybe you provide a certain amount of training, right? The benefit there is that you could be a six-figure agent faster. The pain you're removing is being lost at sea amongst hundreds of agents in the area and never hitting the metrics that you set for yourself. All right, so I want you to really think of your content, your headline, and all the content on your website, and really all the content and sales content and interviews that you do from here on out in that mindset. What's the feature we provide? What's the benefit it brings an agent? And what pain are we removing? Now, the big goal is to make sure you know the benefit, and it's always nice to verify the pain that's being removed by having that benefit. So use this for your headline, use this for your content. It's all about being agent focused. The next thing you want to look at is, are you capturing agent emails, right? Are you capturing agent emails? So what do I mean by this? Well, you have to provide something of value in exchange for an email. Very few people are just going to randomly give away their email. So are you going to tear apart their business plan? Are you going to give them commission structures? Are you going to give them additional training videos, right? This is the type of information that's going to continue to educate them. You know, I was talking about the no phase in prospecting. Well, continue to educate them, but ask for the next step. Ask for them to opt into an email list. What this does is you can start building a lead base from your website, and when you start asking for the agent information, you can start measuring if your website is actually effective, or if it's just another pretty wallflower and you want it to be effective. You want it to bring in leads. You want to have the ability to set up a website that actually gives you an ROI. And before I move on from the website, there's one more point I want to make, and that is on the content you create. And you know, I hear a lot of questions. You know, we always say speak to benefits, speak to benefits, speak to benefits. You know, there's features and benefits. So I want to give one example to kind of clarify what I mean by that. So let's take the example of a window tinting company. Now, if you look at the advertisements of a window tinting company, what they usually say is, our service, we're going to block out 99.9% of UV rays. The material we use is 3 millimeters thick, and it's made from the highest grade material in the world. Those are all features of the product and service they're providing. But the real benefit, the real desired outcome that the customer wants is a lot different. Tell you what I mean. Here are the benefits that the customer's after. I want to protect my small children in the back seat during those long car rides, right? I want to keep my interior in pristine condition longer. Or I want to improve or increase the resale value of my car. Those are all the benefits they're after. And same way with this industry. An agent is not lying in bed, awake at night, worried, and to themselves thinking, if only I could find a business, a broker that's been around for 50 years instead of 30 years, then my life will be better. If only I could find, a company that has 20 agents instead of 15 agents, then my life will be better. No, they're lying in bed at night, worried, thinking about, how am I going to hit that six-figure mark I know I can achieve? How can I focus on my career if there's so much admin overhead that I'm being sucked in to all these tasks that are not making me a better agent? This is what they're worried about. What's keeping your prospects up at night? And that's how you want to write your headline, your content. That's how you want to speak to the marketplace. And it's not all about a pretty wallflower, okay? It's about having a website that speaks to your market and asks them to take the next step. Taking the next step could mean, opting in for, like I said, some free training. It could be selecting to get a free lunch on you, to have an informational interview or lunch, or free training that you're providing offline. Whatever that may be, ask for them to take the next step. That's how you move somebody through the prospecting cycle. The next thing you want to do, and what Carmelo did, was he went out and he goes, okay, I got my website set up in the first day. 10 days after that, he went out and he gathered a email hit list. And I will say this, if you already have one, fantastic. If you need to go out and buy one, we highly recommend you go out and use a list broker, or go through a company that will send out those emails for you. There's been a dramatic change in the industry in the last 6 months that is really restricting anybody's ability to upload an email list into an email management software solution. It's becoming much more difficult. They're kicking out a lot of people for doing that. So the best thing, if you already have one, great. If not, use a service like eCampaign Pro that will actually send those out for you. That's what we recommend. Now, in the first 10 days, Carmelo started sending out his first emails. What do those emails look like? They look exactly like the content and the same mindset we're using on crafting those headlines and crafting the content, right? They're agent focused. Top 3 mistakes newbie real estate agents make. Could be the headline for an email you send out, or 7 secrets of high performing agents, 5 tips from 6-figure agents, right? They're all agent focused subject lines. They're very conversational and they're very benefit driven. Now, these emails they don't have fancy graphics. They actually are very plain. They have white background, black text. When you use white background, black text, it looks like it's coming from a friend. It looks like it might be coming from somebody they know. Versus having a email with a really fancy newsletter, which historically, and it's still very much relevant today, not as many people will read, not as many people will open that email, and certainly not as many people will click that link. So just keep it simple, white background, black text, keep it conversational. And when you talk about the benefits or you talk about removing pain they're experiencing, that's going to grab their attention. And if you do talk about your company, maybe you put it in the PS of the email, or maybe you put it at the end. Hey, if you're interested in learning more of how we develop our up and coming agents, click here to learn more information. You want to talk about your company, but you want to do that afterwards. And if you do, you want to talk about how you're unique. Now, for Carmelo, he had a kind of a virtual office in his area. It was very new. Nobody else was doing a virtual office, and he was one of the first people to do that. So when he did introduce his company, he was talking about working from anywhere, little overhead, right? And so, when you do present your company, come out in a unique way. And if you're not sure what's unique about your business, you can look what everybody else is doing. You can talk to agents about what they want and start looking for the gaps. Now, there is a bit of work involved with that, but if you can define it, if you can see the difference between what the market's offering and what the agents want, you're in a great position to come out with an amazing, unique selling proposition. So, first 30 days is all about setting up that website, sending out and crafting those first emails. Now, just like I mentioned the big mindset secret earlier, multiple step marketing campaigns. Multiple step means you're not sending out one email, you're sending out an email every week. If you're sending out a direct mailer, that means you're not sending out one direct mail, you're sending out three. It's not one phone call, it's three phone calls. Nothing is a one-off tactic anymore, and that's why I want to introduce that strategy to you and hopefully really shift your mindset. There are no more one-off tactics. Everything is integrated, everything feeds back in to the foundation. Now, month one, Carmelo actually got 10 interviews and recruited 2 agents. So with that, let's jump into the second 30 days. This is where he kind of got ninja style with his marketing. But what I mean by that is, he's sending out emails every week. So what he started doing was segmenting his email list. He said, I want to see the people that are opening my emails. I want to see the people that are clicking on my emails, because if they're clicking on these emails, they're going to links to learn more about my company. And if they want to learn more about my company, that they're fully invested in research mode. They're fully invested in the know stage of that prospecting cycle. So what he started doing was he segmented that list, and next he started reaching out to them on social media. He started building that relationship. Social media is an engagement tool. Now, don't think I'm telling you to go on social media 8 hours a day. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm not going to come out here and say, hey, social media is going to be a great sales tool. You're going to go on there and you're going to close an agent every day for the rest of your life. No, social media is an engagement tool. It's about building the relationship. It's not a closer. You're really not going to close people on social media. But if you're thinking about that prospecting cycle, moving people from know, like to trust, this is where you transition people into the like phase. And you really want to think of social media like a cocktail party, right? If you show up to a cocktail party and it's all me, 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 nobody is going to talk to you. Everybody's going to be turned off. You're not going to get many fans or many, receptive people if you just show up to an event and just talk about yourself all day. Instead, you want to ask relevant questions. Maybe you want to share relevant tips, tactics that you've picked up that are relevant for an agent, right? You just want to give, be interested, start building the relationship on social media. And again, you already know they're interested in potentially, joining a new company. So just reach out, start the conversation, see what is currently going on, and then from there, see if you can actually set up an offline meeting or something on the phone or Skype or whatever it may be. And I put this next part here, number 3, staying consistent, because if you're sending out emails every week, you're sending out emails, you're providing good information. Some of those emails you might actually be asking agents questions, which is a very popular email template that we provide, is where you're actually prompting them to respond. You're actually prompting them to raise their hand. So that, in this case, it's all about follow-ups. If you're sending out all these messages, really, it's all about follow-ups. Just continue with the follow-ups. And like I said, they don't pick up the phone, not a big deal. Don't answer the email, 3 days later, 5 days later, 10 days later. Just get in a routine of being very consistent with these follow-ups. And then finally, what Carmelo is doing is he's building relevant and strong backlinks. Now, this is important from a search engine optimization standpoint, because when you go on big websites, whether it's something like Craigslist or something like Google Places, what happens is Google and Bing and Yahoo, they're going to crawl these pages like Craigslist. They're going to say, all right, Craigslist is a well-known site, it's very credible. They're going to crawl that site, see a link to your site. Now your site becomes more credible by association. That's essentially the foundation of how these search engine rankings exist, right? They're trying to determine if you're a credible site. They're trying to determine what your site is about. And so by linking to sites like Trulio or Craigslist, what you're doing is just building a very nice, foundational, yet simple backlinking strategy for search engine optimization. Now, this is just foundational stuff. I always recommend maybe 5 or 10 links. Go to big industry websites, go to Craigslist, go to Google Places, go everywhere you can just to get 5 or 10 very respectable, strong links. 6 months, a year, after it gets crawled and indexed, you actually might see, these efforts pay off. It's not a short-term strategy, but it's just a nice way to build that foundation. Now, second 30 days, Carmelo got 14 agent interviews and recruited 3 agents. And with that, let's go into the final 30 days. And this is the least glamorous of the 30 days, but it's perhaps the most important part of the picture. And it's one that we always fail to achieve ourselves, right? We do so much to get started, do so much to get going, and we always drop off right before we hit the goal. We always drop off right before, the finish line, really. And so when I go through these 30 days, I want you to keep this in mind. Think about all the items he was doing and what he was doing in the final 30 days. And he was, look, of course he was staying consistent, right? It's all about recruiting and building that relationship. He was following up, and most importantly, working the system. This is what he had going. He had a lead generation and marketing best practice recruiting website with the goal to capture agent information. This was valuable agent-focused content. He was sending out emails weekly. He was analyzing open rates and click-through rates, following up with those most interested parties over social media, and when appropriate, driving traffic back to his website after he provided that training and that value. He built 5 to 10 very industry-specific, very trustworthy backlinks, and those links, when available, he would send them back to his website. If he could determine the text for the hyperlink, what he would do would say real estate broker plus the area that he was in. And he was following up, following up, following up. Now you can imagine if you start building steam, if you have a responsive list, you're reaching out to all these people, you're going to need to follow up. And it's just really about building the routine and the habit and then having the discipline to continue through there. And in the final 30 days, that's when he knocked it out of the park and recruited 5 agents. Now, here's a tactical recap of what was going on with his website. Call to action above the fold. What I mean by call to action is that request to get their name and email. Headlines that hit the benefit, the pain, and always about giving value first and avoid talking about us, avoid talking about the company. Emails were structured around educational content. He kept it conversational and he was consistent. It's not one-off emails, it's 3-step emails. It's every week, multi-weeks, multi-months, multi-years. Analytics, we just kept it simple, right? Let's segment your email list and we could see the people clicking on it. Social media, like I mentioned, chances are you're not going to close on social media. It is there as an engagement tool, and you want to think of it as a cocktail party. Search engine optimization, just go after 5 or 10 big ones, and finally, consistent action trumps sprints and dead periods. When we want to try out something new, it's always enticing to just go 110% in, but it's never sustainable. So I always like to say, whether you invest in something with us or you decide to implement and research on your own and hire a company to do it and hire the consultant, it's about consistency. It's about how do you build the habit and ingrain it into your day or to somebody you outsource it to. So, I did have the ability to talk with Carmelo a while back, and I said, if you get to start all over and do something different, what would you do? And he told me that he handles multiple businesses, and he's flipping houses and looking at investments. Is that he would actually hire a manager to manage the office so he could spend more time recruiting and getting leads. Now, not everybody who's listening is going to be in the position to go out and hire somebody, and that's all right. What I want to do is take a step back and look at the mindset he was using when he told me that statement. He's thinking, how can I prioritize my time? How can I prioritize the activities that bring in the most revenue for my company? And if you don't have the opportunity to hire somebody yet, I would prioritize your time according to that. What are the big ticket items? What are the $1,000 an hour or $100 an hour type activities that are going to bring business to you? That's what you focus on first thing. You use the best time of the day for you. It's when you're high energized, you have a lot of focus, don't have distractions. do those tasks. And then, of course, if you don't have somebody that can go out and do the admin tasks, go do that later. That's fine. They're not going to go anywhere if you don't have the opportunity to hire out. Go ahead and do them. I'm just saying prioritize your time. So, quick recap of the results. Month 1, you recruited 2. Month 2, 3. Month 3, recruited 5. Now, as you can see, recruiting is a numbers game, and it's a relationship game, and it's a contact sport. That will never change. You always have, say, 20 interested agents, then only 10 interview, and then only 5 join, for example. Now, I know those numbers are a bit generous, but that's the nice part about having a consistent marketing system is you can turn those 15 agents who didn't join into raving fans with excellent marketing, snatch them up before they switch over to another broker because you forgot to stay in front of them. And so here's Carmelo with his success, yet many brokers may be stuck with little or no traction for recruiting. He's already passed the first major mountain and ready for the next. Now, recruiting is such a complicated, deep subject, it's almost impossible to cover everything a broker did for recruiting in a single webinar, which is why we focus on what we think is the most challenging subject for brokers, which is marketing. Now, remember the really big idea, the really big secret, which was to master multiple step marketing campaigns across multiple internet marketing channels. Now, I hope it's a lot more concrete than when I first said it. We're talking about multiple step marketing campaigns, meaning we don't do one-off marketing campaigns that aren't related to the foundation of our online presence, the foundation of our offline presence. It's all about multiple step and driving people back to that foundation. And then across multiple internet marketing channels, meaning Facebook, email, Twitter, Craigslist. When that shiny new social media website comes out in 5 years, that's what that means. And that's why this is timeless, right? Because you can actually interchange the tools that you can use and still apply this strategy. Now, remember the questions from the beginning of the call, such as what do you send? Well, it's a value-added, agent-focused, greed and curiosity-driven marketing that improves an agent's life with links to learn about your company. I highlighted improves because you want to think in terms of a consultant, an educator, a trusted advisor. And that's how you want to position yourself. When do you send it? Best practice for us is between 11 a.m., 1 p.m., Tuesday and Thursday, and sometimes Saturday works extremely well because agents work and they don't get as many emails on those days. Well, here's another one. How do you send it? We already talked about email, through Facebook, congratulating agents on closings, through LinkedIn, sharing those articles that can improve their career. Through Twitter, auto-follow the realtors in your marketplace, retweet, something that they might have shared, share articles that will, again, are agent-focused. They are focused on improving their career. Through Craigslist, you can post training events with search engine optimized links back to your recruiting website so you show up on the first page of Google, which, by the way, if you're a bit overwhelmed at all the places you have to be in order to attract as many agents as possible, you don't have to be. You don't have to think with this. Just follow a checklist. There is no thought required, but there is a bit of action. Now, being overwhelmed doesn't come from having too much to do. Being overwhelmed comes from a lack of priorities. Now, imagine how overwhelming transaction management would be if you didn't have a checklist or a process in place. And the same thing applies here. There's a common question we get all the time. Best program to use for email. Now, many of them will get you to where you need to be. The metric we look at for every email provider is the deliverability rate. What are they doing? What have they done recently to improve their deliverability rate? And that's what we determine it by. You can use something like eCampaign Pro if you don't have a list. If you already have one, Aweber, MailChimp, Constant Contact, StreamSend, they're all great. But if you send us a new one, that's what we're going to look at. We're going to look at the deliverability rate. And of course, you can always send me an email, david@zany.com, if you have any questions about one that you may be looking at. And finally, how do I not waste any time with all of this stuff? And it's to follow a checklist. Outsource it to a partner, family member, staff, or virtual assistant for 30 minutes a day. Now, all the details I just mentioned are inside the Ninja checklist. Everything is there. You don't have to think, worry, or be overwhelmed. Just follow the checklist, and you're setting yourself up for success. And you can see the checklist on the right hand of the screen. And how we set it up is, each one of these compartments opens up with a task. Each task has a video. You see the see how link, which drops down to the video. And then when we, ask for you to send out something like an email marketing message, we give you the PDF. So you can take that email, you can change a little bit of the text so it fits your area, fits your personality, and essentially take that, swipe that, and deploy it in your marketplace. We give you the tools like that inside. Now, remember how I said it's not the best brokers to recruit agents, it's the brokers with the best marketing systems who win. Now, Recruiting Ninja is the only complete internet marketing system for recruiting on the planet. Nothing else completely gives you everything to succeed on the internet. You get a recruiting website with email marketing, Facebook recruiting, Craigslist marketing, Twitter, and LinkedIn, which consequently gets you on the first page of Google when agents are looking for brokers, which agents are starting to do as newer tech savvy agents get into the business, especially for those out of town agents that are researching a broker before they move. You can see some examples of the templates that we have right here. They're they're very straightforward for a reason. It's because again that call to action has to be focused. That call to action has to be clear. The agent has to know where they need to go. And you'll see, we have even some kind of fancy call to actions in the top right hand corner. We have a peel down part where it says free lunch, and an agent can actually hover over that, click it, and then enter in their information to get a free lunch on a broker. Because at the end of the day, it's all about getting those leads. It's all about getting that interest. Now, the trend for the internet just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Now, getting your recruiting presence online is a great short-term decision because many brokers just don't get it yet. It's a great long-term decision because this is the way everything is going. Now, the day is coming where agents will start reviewing brokers by doing Google searches. In fact, it's happening right now, and if you get set up to be positioned right now, in a few years when every other broker catches on, they won't be able to catch up. And now Carmelo is not alone. Here's another example success story. In fact, let's just stay on the topic of Google to recruit agents. A broker named Kevin Turner on the East Coast got his first agent within 3 to 5 weeks of signing up for Recruiting Ninja. Another agent, Jonathan Pace from Georgia, says our company has grown by 50% in the first 2 months this year, and I know I have Zany and Recruiting Ninja to thank. Now, at the beginning of this call, I remembered an offer to let you try out Recruiting Ninja for a single dollar. Now, before we dive into that, let's just take a step back and let me just say, as a business owner, we get it. And all the time, we're always being sold the latest, greatest whiz-bang software to help our business. Just like I know you're always being sold the latest, greatest whiz-bang gadget, right? This is the typical salesperson that we see when we're thinking about potentially buying something. But here's the process I use to evaluate purchasing systems. And it's the same process that I think may help you. Now, before I purchase anything, I always ask myself these 3 questions. Best case scenario for this purchase, most likely case scenario for this purchase, and worst case scenario for this purchase. If I can answer those 3 things, I'm comfortable with the outcome of all 3 answers, I'll move forward. Now, here's how those answers look with Recruiting Ninja. Best case scenario, 12 plus agents a year. Most likely case scenario, 5 plus agents a year. Worst case scenario for this purchase, 1 agent a year or none. But this is where it gets really good, is that your worst case scenario actually has very little risk at all. Let's talk about how we historically priced Recruiting Ninja. We used to have a $1,000 setup and initiation fee, $200 a month, no contracts, no commitments. You can cancel anytime. We hate red tape. We don't want you to have to deal with it. So there's never any long-term contracts with us. On top of that, how it works is that we're going to give you a 30-day trial run to kick out the system for $1. Then on top of that, we give an additional 60-day action taker guarantee, which means you complete roughly 10 sections, meaning you send out your first emails. You're going to send out your first templated emails, the scripts that we provide. And if you don't bring in any leads, we're going to refund your money. So you have a total of 90 days to get this thing up and running. And really, it's about 15 to 20 hours of work over 90 days. And our head is really under the guillotine on this one. If our product doesn't work, we wouldn't be in business. And that's why we put something like this out here, is because we want to prove to you, we want to earn your trust with this product. So if you're ready to try out Recruiting Ninja for a single dollar, one last caveat is that, the systems like this, you have to be a broker who takes action. If you're a broker who doesn't take action, doesn't have the resources to have anybody run the Ninja checklist for, say, 30 minutes a day, we can help give you and provide information on hiring amazing virtual assistants to run it for you. But if you won't take action on that info either, don't sign up because you'll end up canceling anyways. And I don't want to waste your time or mine. So now about the dollar trial. The $1,000 setup has been keeping many of the less serious or cautious brokers out of the system. We've actually liked it that way because we don't want casual recruiters who want to try another shiny object and quit next month. But it's also been a catch-22 because once you create the account, you're inside the system, use the Ninja checklist and see the complete system, You can't imagine running your recruiting without it, and I know you'll love the system too once you see inside. So here's how the dollar trial is going to work. So today you're going to pay $1 and you're going to test drive Recruiting Ninja for 30 days. You're going to dip your toes in, blast around the system, get your website set up, start following the Ninja checklist, and you'll know within less than 30 minutes if Recruiting Ninja has the goods to deliver what I say it does. And at the latest, within 2 weeks, you'll really know for sure if you want to continue. In short, 30 days is more than enough time to have access to this valuable system for $1. Now, if you want to cancel, just email me anytime in the first 30 days. I will cancel your account. My email is David, David @zany.com, and you've only risked $1. Now, if you're happy, do nothing. In 30 days, the system's going to invoice you just for $200. We've completely axed and eliminated that $1,000 setup fee for people that are on this webinar. And if you're worried about remembering the 30 days, don't worry. We're going to send you a reminder emailing asking if you want to cancel 1 week before the 30 days, just to remind you to cancel, right? And, we really don't care if you don't sign up or you end up canceling. We're not going to pressure you or trick you into continuing. Just like you all want a certain kind of agent, we're looking for a certain kind of broker, the one who takes action and the one who implements. And for those that do, the whole team here feels an enormous responsibility for helping as many brokers who are willing to take action, and we love adding elite brokers to this group. So to sign up to try out Recruiting Ninja for $1, the link is below this video. This is a limited offer. Like I said, we've been doing this webinar for a little bit right now, and we don't know how much longer this dollar trial is going to be available for. People have asked us, hey, can we come back in a few weeks, in a few months? Really, how it works is, this webinar is up and running right now. We have the link below the video. If you want to get signed up, it's $1. You can try it out, and as soon as we decide to release our next piece of content, this offer will be gone, and this page will be gone. Now, if you have any questions, you can always email me, David @zany.com. But if you're ready to get started, you're going to click the link below, and you're going to see that registration page. You're going to fill out the first registration page. On the second page, you're going to see that payment info. Click continue. On the final page, enter your credit card information securely, and after filling out that information, you'll be instantly up and running. Now, after 30 days, you're going to pay the $200 a month from here on out. Now, remember, during this time, you have a full 60 days to test out the system and a complete refund period, and we've completely eliminated the $1,000 setup fee. So if you sign up today, you will never pay the $1,000 setup fee. And guess what? If you forget on day 31, just email me. Not a problem. We're just people behind this computer. Email me, David @zany.com. We'll get it taken care of for you. And, the people that do implement this, it's all about putting a turnkey system into your business. And for those that really utilize it, you get to embrace the freedom of the system. Now, the average broker implements this system gets anywhere from a 3,000 to 5,500% ROI, which means for every dollar invested, they get $30 back. And the reason that is so high is because the system is generally profitable after the first agent. And these are the types of top-notch brokers that we're getting inside of the system. And this is what they're saying, right? With Mark Malsky saying that he already recruited 2 experienced agents from his recruiting website. Robert saying it's one of the most important factors behind his office being the fastest growing in all of Arizona. Or Rob saying that the recruiting website has been similar to a clone of himself as he's going out and recruiting agents. So if you're interested in signing up, the link is below the video. You're going to fill out the first registration page. Second page, see the payment info, click continue. On the final page, enter your credit card information securely, and after filling out that information, you'll be instantly up and running. Now, a quick pricing overview. Month 1 is $1. Month 2 onward, $200 a month for as long as you use the system. Now, of course, on top of the 30-day trial, you do have that 60-day action taker guarantee, and we've completely dropped the $1,000 setup fee. So if you're thinking about, what would it be if we used it for an entire year? Again, we don't have long-term contracts. It's always month by month with us. But if you're thinking about what a yearly budget would look like, $2,400 for this entire system, which is minor compared to what one good agent can bring in. Now, this has been a no-brainer to business-savvy brokers, which is why many of the best brokers use the system. And here's just a glimpse at some of the brokers that have implemented our sites, and of course we can give you a lot more, but I mean, it just highlights the value and the actual numbers they're getting out of the system. Now, one thing that we kind of find shocking over here at Recruiting Ninja is the broker who pays anywhere from $8,000 to $20,000 per month. For staff, rent, utilities, paper, fax machine, internet insurance, and none of that helps them market their business to recruit agents. None of that does any good if you're not marketing as a system. Yes, it's good if it recruits once an agent sees it, but what good is it if nobody knows about it? And that's why you need a marketing system. So, for example, let's say your best recruiting strategy is agents referring other agents to you, but it's just natural right now. There's no system to it. You can multiply your current results by turning it into a system. Imagine the multiplying power of having your agents help recruit by putting something like this in their email signature. It looks something like this. Hey Jane, can you send me the updated home inspection for Locust Street anytime soon? Thanks, your agent Bob, XYZ Real Estate 800. Here's the number right here. And at the bottom, this is their email signature. See if your broker is ripping you off at www.yourrecruitingninjawebsite.com, which, by the way, is an almost irresistible phrase for an agent to ignore, and we know that because we've tested and tracked hundreds of brokers for ideas on what works and add the best ideas into the Ninja Checklist. Now, this particular marketing strategy is actually under the Ninja Checklist category, miscellaneous marketing systems, which your staff can be running for you. Now, we even give you the email in the Ninja Checklist that you can send to your agents asking them to add this to their signature. So now every time an agent is working on a deal, sends an updated contract via email, or asks about the updated home inspection, you've got a chance for that outside agent to learn about your company. And these are good agents because they're the ones typically doing the deal. So if you're interested in signing up for Recruiting Ninja, again, for this dollar trial, it's right below this video. You're going to fill out the first registration page after you click that button. On the second page, you're going to see that payment info, click continue. On the final page, enter your credit card information securely. After filling that information, you're going to be instantly up and running. And don't worry, we have an entire team of customer support. We have our director of customer success and customer support representatives of people that are ready to help you move through the system and implement and get the results we know that you want. Now, kind of circling back to those 3 questions we talked about earlier: best case, most likely case, and worst case scenario. You could use this tip in all future endeavors, and you would be amazed on how much time this is going to save you. I dare you to do it and find out. Now, with Recruiting Ninja, the worst case scenario is to risk virtually nothing, because with a dollar trial, you've risked just that, $1. If you don't want to continue, email me or call me in the first 30 days, and I'll shut down your account. You've only paid a single dollar. And on top of that, we have the 60-day action taker guarantee. So you have a full 90 days to get this up and running. And again, the action taker guarantee is all about, send out that first email campaign, those 3 emails we talked about to your hit list. And if you're not seeing any leads, if you're not seeing any action come in, just email me. We want to earn your business. We want to earn your trust. So that's why we put this extensive guarantee inside the system. And we want to make this a very secure and protected decision for your business. Now, the best way to see if Recruiting Ninja makes sense for you, go ahead and just pay the $1 and try it out. Now, you saw what Carmelo was doing. He got a system set up the first day, first email blast 10 days after that, and that's totally doable. And everybody on this team is dedicated to seeing you succeed. But listen, we all know the joy of chasing new ideas, growing a business, fulfilling your dreams. You have to be a bit crazy to venture out on your own, but far too often we get trapped in juggling too many things at once, which is why, thank goodness, we have a checklist to keep us focused. Otherwise, we'd be screwed. And if you're not getting the recruiting results you want, or you are and you want more, now you have a checklist to keep you focused and on track. And there's nothing else like it anywhere. There's a few competitors who are halfway there. They'll give you a website, some email marketing, and nothing else. And they are more expensive than Recruiting Ninja, which really doesn't make sense. Recruiting Ninja should be more based on everything I just said, but it's not, and because we wanted it to be a fair price. Now, one last thing, a couple things before we wrap up here. I want to try and talk out any brokers who are interested in Recruiting Ninja, because if I can talk you out of it here, then you won't have to waste your time trying out the system only to cancel later. So don't sign up if you or somebody else cannot dedicate 30 minutes a day to running this system. Now, we are implementing a service where we're going to do everything for those brokers. It's going to cost significantly more money because we're actually going to have our team and manpower behind setting up the system and doing higher end services. But if you're starting out, have a smaller office, and you want to take this on yourself or outsource this to somebody else, you need to think about, can you or somebody else dedicate 30 minutes a day to running the system? Now, for those that would rather just outsource everything to us, you can always email me, david@zany.com, and I'd be happy to talk with you about what the services may look like. But realistically, if you're using this system yourself, or again, if you're outsourcing it to somebody on your staff, it's about 30 minutes a day to really get up and running and to really utilize it. Now, don't sign up if you plan to run a bunch of ads and magically expect agents to join your office. It doesn't work like that. Recruiting is a contact sport, and you saw what Carmelo is doing. He's proactively working the system. And finally, don't sign up if you can't close during an interview or ask for the sale, aka asking them to join your company. Recruiting Ninja can help you get agents interested on semi-autopilot, but you still have to step in, ask for the interviews, and close agents. So if you're interested after that reality check, one thing before we wrap up here, for the few brokers that may have a partner or somebody they need to run this by before they sign up, here's what you want to do. Go ahead and give the dollar trial a shot. Go ahead and sign up, and then show your partner. Tell them you're going to give this recruiting thing a strong shot. And if 30, 60, or 90 days you're not happy, just cancel and get a refund. Chances are good that they'll want to recruit agents and be game for doing something so risk-free. Now, at the odd chance your partner absolutely wants nothing to do with the system, it's simple. Just email me, david@zany.com, david@zany.com, and I will cancel your account right away. But you know what? You won't have passed up on this incredible offer. So, last time, if you're interested in trying out that dollar trial, what you're going to do is you're going to, click the button below. You're going to fill out the first registration page. On the second page, you're going to see the pricing info. Click continue. On the final page, enter your credit card information securely. And after filling out that information, you're going to be instantly up and running. But hey, if you have any questions, comments, you want us to take a look at maybe some marketing material you're already sending out, feel free to email me. My email is right there on the screen, david@zany.com. That's david@zany.com. If you're interested in, I did mention briefly earlier about some of the higher end services we provide. If you want a completely hands-off experience, we do that as well. But if you just want to, test drive Recruiting Ninja for 30 days, it's just $1, and then on top of that, you have that 60-day action taker guarantee. The button is below. You have my contact information. I really appreciate you investing this hour in growing your business. So in the meantime, like I said, if you have any questions, if you need to reach out, any marketing material you want us to look at, go ahead and email me. I'd be happy to take a look at it. Thank you for listening. I'll talk to you soon.